Hello everyone, Derek's Damn Toys back here with another action figure review. Today we've got Series 9 Unrivaled Collection Brian Cage. This is a figure I've been pretty excited to get for a little while. Sadly, I've got to track down the Christian Cage and the Powerhouse Hobbs because Ringside does not have them up on the website right now. I don't think they have Thunder either. I'm not sure. I know they have Kingston though, so I might be picking him up. But yeah, no. Wave's definitely not a bad wave at all. I've already reviewed Ricky. It hasn't gone up yet by the time I'm doing this, but I'm very excited to get Brian Cage. And maybe here soon in the future, I can get Powerhouse Hobbs as well. I'm not going to guarantee that one though, just because the Powerhouse Hobbs only comes with Fist, and that does kind of bother me a little bit, but if I can get Taz, I guess it's no problem. Having the mouthpiece of the group would kind of make that go set in stone. Not that Ricky ain't a mouthpiece of his own, but I don't know, having Team Taz wouldn't feel too complete without having Taz himself as well. But anyway, enough talk. Why don't I bust out my old reliable and get this dude open? I'll be back. Alright, so the accessories are as followed. He comes with 2 head sculpts. One's going to be on the figure. And he comes with 2 sets of hands. Again, another set's going to be on the figure. As you can see, the stuff he came in with in the packaging. So he comes with a second set of hands, which is more like grappling hands. He comes with a more like serious face sculpt, which I think the screaming expression looks more like Brian Cage. But I still think this is a pretty good head sculpt. I'll still probably end up using it for whatever I end up using him for. But since his accessories were simple, we can get into the figure itself. And talking about the screaming expression, like I said, this looks a hell of a lot more like him. Would I say it's like accurate, spot on? From certain angles, yes. But not every angle. But I would say that just comes with how they do their head sculpts compared to WWE using true effects now. But getting away from the head sculpt, the second set of hands is pretty cool. It kind of looks like throat slasher hands, or maybe you could use those for his F5, or I don't know exactly what he calls his variation of the F5. I know Wardlow calls his the F10. But getting into the attire. Sorry, I gotta clear my throat. I've been outside in the cold all day and my throat's getting a little scratchy. I've also been drinking coffee, so that don't help. But had to wake myself up a little bit so I could do these and get these done for you guys and not have to worry about them tomorrow when I go shopping and grab a couple of things, and hopefully I'll find the original AEW Cody, but we'll see. His attire is really nice. For the most part, on the back it's pretty plain. Like the knee pad being 2 different colors is pretty cool. I mean, I kind of wish they would have done what they did with Trent in a sense and just gave us 2 open knee pads, but that's whatever. That don't bug me. The designs on the front of the knee pads and the kick pads look really good. The designs on the wrist gauntlets also look really well done. It's kind of weird seeing the yellow shade on here being like a different color compared to the rest of it. But that's whatever. don't really bug me that much. If anything, you guys can see it better on camera than I can in person. The designs on the figure itself when it comes to the white part. So I can kind of see what MDT would be saying when it comes to how he wishes that half could have been more accurate, because it could have made the figure more appealing in hand. Because on camera it looks really great, but it's hard for me to see the yellow on top of the white, because the white is already such a hard color for me to see. It's not the biggest deal though. I feel like if anything, this would have been way better if they took the white and give it like more of a gray wash. So then maybe it would have like mocked the pearlescent look of the trunks he was wearing that night. But other than that, I would say it's pretty solid figure. Getting into the, I guess you could say, the articulation, the meat and potatoes of the figure. I don't know if this head sculpt is just loose or if I had to do that, but he can look up that high. There we go. He can look down that low. He's got, oh boy, he's got a little bit of an ab crunch. Like, it's actually not too bad. He's a bigger figure, which explains why it's kind of hard to get him into said pose. But he can go back pretty far, so him not being able to pose too much in the front doesn't bother me as much. Not like the Chuck Taylor where he can barely bend backwards as well. But he's got upper bicep cut. He's got the bend in the shoulder, of course. He can go 360 with it. He's got a double bend in the elbow. Wrist pivot and swivel, or well, not pivot, but wrist bend and swivel. He can kick up about that high. I don't always do this, but I want to try to start displaying this more too. His split isn't too bad. Got a double bend in the knee, which this is kind of why I wish they would have given him more actual open knee pads and not the way they sculpted them. It would just be better for the articulation, as you don't really get the full flexibility out of that double bend in the knee. He does have upper thigh cut, upper kick pad cut, so he can rotate his boot, and you can bend his ankle. I didn't really get that one on camera, but his ankles do bend and they do pivot a little bit, but the pivot joint is a little bit more tighter than most figures, especially compared to the Series B Kenny Omega. Oh man, I need to get a new Kenny. Maybe if the Supreme Series 2 Kenny is in stock on Ringside, I'll pick that up, and eventually I'll get the Malachi Black and see how that goes. But enough talk about that. This is for Brian Cage and getting his review done. Sorry I keep on sniffling. I'm just very nasally and stuff. My sinuses are kind of kicking my ass right now. Brian Cage, I would say he's a pretty solid figure. Now, the head sculpts could look a little bit more like him. The accessories he came with is pretty much what I would have expected. Like, yeah, if they gave him an attire where he came out with, like, the Terminator, like, arm and stuff like that, that'd be cool, but I could see that also being like something they do with an Ultimate Edition, where maybe they give us like one thing for one side and maybe one for both of them, or one for the other side and a third one for both of them as like an accessory for entrances, and then he could come with two different attires to work with said entrance gear. I mean, just saying, that's kind of like another idea. I know I popped another like idea out in the other video I recorded, so we might have to start talking like figure ideas we may want to see coming out of the AEW and WWE lines, which with it being the end of the year, hey man, we could do like a video like that. Instead of doing like the best figures of, we could do figures we would like to see in the upcoming waves coming in 2023. Whether they're all confirmed or not, we can just speculate on figures we would like to see, no matter the elite wave and stuff like that. Talking too much already again. The ab crunch is a little sad. The all white is nice, but it does have its downfalls, especially with the yellow being a little different there. Like, it doesn't bug me that much, but for some people it might. To be honest with you, what I think I'm gonna rate this figure, I think I'm gonna give him a good solid 8 out of 10. We'll give him like a good 4.2 out of 5 stars. It's not a bad figure. I definitely recommend getting him. He poses around pretty great. He's not stiff, he's not loose. He's just kind of like the perfect middle ground that you want. Because like with the Chuck Taylor, because you can't bend his torso really. Just kind of like how I broke him in half. Get JR on the scene, because I've been breaking people in half for a couple of reviews. His legs don't seem to get loose by actually bending the legs, which is what you want in a figure that can't bend its torso very well. Because Chuck Taylor's legs, I literally bent them once just to see if I could recreate like a certain move that him and Trent did, which not very easy, but you could probably do it in a pick fed. And after doing the pose and stuff like that, Chuck Taylor's legs instantly got loose. So I'm definitely giving Brian Cage brownie points for that, because his figure feels great in the hand, and it's actually staying like relatively like smooth. It's not too like stiff. It's not loose as hell. He's got a pretty great figure. For someone who's not on TV as much as he should be, he's definitely got a good figure. Happy to see him win the 6-man tag championships. I know not everybody cares about his faction, but I thought it was a pretty neat thing for him to do and for him to win. On that note, though, before I start rambling some more, like the video if you liked the video. If you didn't, that's cool too. Subscribe for future figure uploads and unboxing uploads and stuff of that nature. And I think I'm gonna get out of here. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I got the links down in the description below. Forgot to mention that in the last video too, but that's alright. Alrighty, I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. So I hope you guys had a great holiday. Talk about that in the comments below. Maybe I'll respond to you. I hope you guys just had a great holiday weekend though. Maybe for some of you, a great holiday week. I don't know. Maybe y'all are on vacation. Beats me. You could tell me about it, though. But on that note, I'm getting out of here. Peace, yo.